three things happened this year that I think have created an extreme sense of urgency about the energy transition and climate change agenda. One was a very stark report from the IPCC this summer that essentially said we've got climate change and we have to act collectively and aggressively in all sectors, in all economies, in order to avoid a sort of catastrophic outcome with temperature increases well in advance of 1.5 degrees. So the challenge now is to hold it to 1.5 degrees. The second thing, that happened is we had a whole bunch of extreme climate events all over the world in multiple categories. And I think, that got people's attention. And I think people understood that that was not just scientists speaking, but corresponded with the reality. And third, we are embarking on at least two huge transformations. One is the energy transition, and the other one is the digital transformation. And I think everybody knows and expects that these things are somewhat, more than somewhat closely related to each other, because our economies are going to operate on digital foundations and with digital processes. I think that the mega platforms have an incredibly important role to play in this. First, they're major consumers of electricity, and if they commit themselves to carbon neutrality in their own operations, in the cloud computing area, and in their own supply chains, that will make a major contribution. But in addition, the platforms reach so many people that they can, in a creative way, influence the behavior of other people by informing them, by helping them understand what they can contribute in terms of their own behavior, purchasing behavior, recycling behavior, to addressing the climate change challenge. So this is really just an extension of their enormous impact on the way people act, behave, and so on, communicate with each other. I think the platforms have another important role. I mean, we have a number of technologies and tools available to us now to address the climate change challenge. But when you add them all up, they're not sufficient. We are going to need new incentive structures, new mechanisms, and new technologies to accomplish the goal of holding climate change to 1.5 degrees. And it is an enormous challenge. So in pursuit of that, one of the things I think almost everybody accepts is that whatever differences and tensions there are at loose in the world, one of the things that has to happen is that information, technologies, data has to, in any area that is related to climate change, these things have to flow freely and frictionlessly to every corner of the world. And the platforms are by far the most powerful entities for contributing to making sure that happens. There's one other dimension of this that you probably may not want to talk about, but if you take the top 6 countries by emissions, counting Europe as one, they are the United States and Canada together, Europe, China, India, Japan, and maybe Russia. And collectively, they account for over 70% of global emissions. This is production-based, so you can quibble with that, and it's gross, not net, right? There's no accounting for, subtracting carbon from the atmosphere, through trees or something. So one of the things I believe is that, you can make substantial progress if these entities come to agreements, and then make sure they're conducted in such a way that it's inclusive, so that the rest of the world, has opportunities to join the party. But it is highly concentrated. And the two places with the mega platforms right now are the United States and China. And so I think, on that dimension alone, assuming some reasonable degree of a cooperation we reverse the recent trends. I think, there's a huge opportunity I think there would be a huge amount of excitement if the mega platforms in China and the United States essentially banded together and said, we are going to use both individually as companies and collectively the kind of impact we have in order to sort of make a major contribution to achieving carbon neutrality. I mean, that would really get people's attention. I mean, your announcements will get people's attention. That one would be like an explosion.